friends, it's day 3 of No Bake Week for our holiday themed weeks, and today we have some delicious caramel nut clusters. First up, we're making macadamia caramel nut clusters, and for the caramel for this one, I'm using my homemade cookie butter salted caramel. I made a fresh batch, and I decided to try it a couple different ways. So I started by grouping them together in threes, and then pouring some of the really fresh hot caramel over the top, but it was kind of thin and it started to run to the side. It started to thicken up a little bit as it started to cool down, and that worked a little bit better. But then I also had the idea to add the rest to a parchment paper lined sheet pan into a nice flat layer, let it cool completely, and then cut it into pieces and kind of shape them into a ball, give them a little squish, and then press them on the top of the nut clusters. For some of the clusters using this technique, I ended up doing 3 to 4 macadamia nuts. Once our clusters are assembled, I'm going to pop those into the fridge and let them chill for a while just to make sure that caramel is nice and firm. And for the first ones that we made where the caramel was a bit thin and kind of started to spread out, I also decided to fold in the pieces that spread out onto the parchment paper just to make sure they're all connected into the main part of the cluster. Then once all of our clusters are ready to go, we're going to pop them into a bowl of dark chocolate melting wafers. I like to do them one at a time, and I like to use a fork to make sure I turn it over, get everything nice and coated in those chocolate melts, and then we're going to pick it up with a fork, shake off the excess as well as scrape off some excess melting wafers, and then pop it onto a piece of parchment paper to set. After those melts are set, then we're going to use a piping bag to drizzle some more melt over the top, and as soon as we do that chocolate melting wafer drizzle, we want to also immediately add some holiday sprinkles. Personally, I love using glittery sugar sprinkles. I feel like it just adds an extra special festive touch, but you can also add another one of my favorite sprinkle options, festive nonpareil sprinkles. For our other nut cluster today, I took a different approach. I had some leftover peanut butter salted caramel from another project, so I decided to pop that into the pan and kind of melt it down. To this, I ended up adding a total of 2 cups of salted and roasted peanuts that I got at the store. After thoroughly mixing everything together and popping it into a parchment paper lined sheet pan, we're gonna make sure we smooth it out into a nice even layer and then pop that into the fridge to completely set. Once the caramel is fully set, we're going to cut these into squares, and I like to pop them back in the fridge just for a little bit before we start doing our coating with the chocolate melting wafers, just like we did before. We pop them in one at a time, use a fork to completely coat everything, pick it up and shake off the excess melt, scrape off the excess as well, and place onto a piece of parchment paper to set. Then after everything's set, often with squares like this, I have some caramel exposed on the bottom, so I like to carefully pick them up and do a light dip on the bottom, and then of course shake off the excess, scrape off some excess as well. After that's fully set, then we're going to take a piping bag filled with the same melting wafers, and we're going to do a nice generous drizzle over the top. And with this one, I decided to do a double drizzle. I didn't do any sprinkles for this one because I just wanted to leave it a little bit more simple and plain. I was super excited to make these, and I think they both turned out really, really well. But of course, as always, I'm very curious. Would you give these a try? Make sure to let me know in the comments. And of course, stay tuned for more Christmas fun this week and for the rest of our holiday series.